Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into the Pragmatic Programmer. Now this isn't just another coding book, it's really a manual on the philosophy behind great software development. We're going to focus on the core ideas right from Chapter 1 that set the stage for everything else.
Right from the get-go, the authors frame programming as a true craft, and this quote just captures that spirit perfectly. It says, "We who cut mere stones must always be envisioning cathedrals." It's all about seeing the big picture, the grand vision, even when you're just working on one tiny, seemingly insignificant piece of the puzzle.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to trace the core argument from that first chapter. We'll kick things off with a fundamental problem in software. Then we'll get into the mindset you need, the tools that can help, and why your own knowledge is your most important asset. All right, let's jump in.
Okay, so the whole journey starts with a kind of uncomfortable but absolutely fundamental truth. All software, if you just leave it be, is designed to rot. Seriously, it's not a question of if it will decay, but when.
The book calls this process software entropy. And just like in physics, where things naturally move toward chaos, our code bases have this tendency to degrade. You know, every little shortcut, every "I'll fix it later," adds to this slow, creeping mess until the whole thing is a nightmare to work with.
And this whole idea is captured beautifully by something called the broken windows theory, which is actually an idea from criminology. The theory is pretty simple. A building with one single unrepaired broken window basically sends a message that nobody cares. And what happens? Well, it invites more vandalism, more broken windows, more decay. It's the exact same with our code. One sloppy piece of work signals that quality isn't a top priority. And before you know it, the standards for the entire project start to slip.
So what's our first line of defense? It's not some new shiny tool or the latest framework. No, it's a deep, personal commitment to craftsmanship. It's about taking pride in what you do and just refusing to let those windows stay broken.
Which of course brings us to the big question. If entropy and decay are just the natural state of things, what are we supposed to do about it? What is our actual job as pragmatic developers?
Well, the answer isn't about finding a new technology. It's about adopting a new mindset. It's about taking complete, radical ownership of your work, your mistakes, and your career.
A pragmatic programmer never says something like this. This translates to, "The cat ate my source code." You know, the ultimate lame excuse. They don't blame the tools or the vague requirements or their boss. Instead of making excuses, they provide options. They own the problem, and they come to the table with solutions.
And this really gets to the core of it. Taking responsibility requires real professional honesty. As this quote says, the greatest of all weaknesses is the fear of appearing weak. It means you have to have the guts to say, "I don't know," or "I messed up," because pretending you have all the answers is way, way more dangerous in the long run.
Okay, so once you've got this mindset, the book gives us a couple of really powerful mental models. Think of them as tools to help us manage change and just see the world a little more clearly.
This slide shows two fantastic metaphors. On the left is stone soup, which is all about being a catalyst for change. You start with something small, show people how cool it is, and get them excited enough to join in and contribute. But on the right, you've got the boiling frog, which is a pretty stark warning about the danger of slow, gradual change.
You've probably heard this one. The story goes, if you toss a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump right out. But if you put it in cool water and slowly turn up the heat, it won't even notice the danger until it's too late. And that is such a powerful reminder for us. We have to be constantly watching the big picture, the slow creep of technical debt, the shifting deadlines, the degrading quality, before we find ourselves boiled. And you know, this whole idea of keeping an eye on the big picture, it doesn't just apply to projects. It applies to you. It applies to the most valuable asset you will ever have, and that is your knowledge.
The book's analogy here is just fantastic. It says you should treat your knowledge like a financial portfolio. And it makes perfect sense, right? Technology changes so incredibly fast. The skills you have today have an expiration date. If you're not actively managing them, investing in them, they will become obsolete. Your career security literally depends on this.
So how do you manage this portfolio? Well, just like a good investor. You invest regularly, make learning a daily habit. You diversify, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You use critical thinking. Don't just chase every new trend. You try to buy low by getting into new technologies before they blow up. And of course, you regularly reevaluate and rebalance to make sure your skills are still valuable.
All right, let's bring it all home now. We've talked about fighting decay, about taking ownership, about investing in yourself. This last part pulls all those threads together to really define what it means to practice the pragmatic craft. First thing, you have to let go of perfection. Aim for what the book calls good enough software. Now, this is not an excuse to be sloppy, not at all. It's about working with your users to figure out when a product actually meets their needs, and then stopping. Don't let the hunt for some mythical perfect solution get in the way of delivering something that's already good.
Second, and this is so critical, you have to communicate. I mean, you could write the most brilliant, elegant code in the history of the world, but if you can't explain it, or work with your team, or listen to feedback, it's pretty much useless. It's about knowing your audience, planning what you say, and maybe most importantly, being a good listener.
And when you boil it all down, this whole philosophy comes down to one simple, powerful idea. Sign your work. Think about it. True craftspeople, artists, they sign their work. It's a mark of pride. It's a mark of ownership. As a pragmatic programmer, you should feel that exact same way. Your name is on it, so make it something you're proud of.
And that really brings us to our final thought for you to take away. As you go about your work, just think about this. What's the one small broken window in your project right now? That messy bit of code, that missing documentation, that confusing name. What's the one small thing you could fix today? Because fixing that one window is always the first step to protecting the whole cathedral.